What happens when one company is asked to build everything? A civilian airplane, a carrier jet, a strategic bomber, and the fighter that would own the skies over Korea, all in 5 years. Between 1946 and 1951, North American aviation delivered 10 aircraft that defined an era of American air power, and the first challenge had nothing to do with combat. In 1946, as military contracts disappeared almost overnight, North American aviation turned to the growing peacetime civil market. The company created the Navion, a 4-seat, single-engine aircraft designed for businessmen, farmers, and returning veterans who needed practical, everyday transportation. Powered by a 185-horsepower Continental piston engine, the all-metal Navion used aerodynamic designs from the P-51 Mustang to make private flying reliable. North American built 1,109 of these rugged planes in 1946 and 1947 before selling the design to Ryan Aeronautical. This civilian project was a direct bid for economic survival outside of wartime production, showing that the company could build for private citizens. It established a dual track of commercial utility and military production, demonstrating that North American's future would be shaped by the civilian market as well as the needs of the armed forces. In late 1946, North American took its first step into military jet aviation with the FJ-1 Fury, a straight-wing fighter designed for the United States Navy. First flying on November 27th, the single-engine aircraft confronted a massive engineering challenge, adapting high-speed jet propulsion to the brutal constraints of aircraft carrier decks. While land-based jet runways could be lengthened, carriers offered no such luxury. Jets lacked the immediate low-speed thrust of piston engines, making catapult launches and arrested landings dangerous. The Navy ordered only 33 Furies, treating this small batch as a floating laboratory to test jet viability. These trials proved that jets could operate at sea, providing the operational data that would soon transform naval warfare. As the Navy struggled to adapt carrier decks to the jet age, it faced an equally critical bottleneck: training the pilots who would fly them. In 1947, North American built 2 prototypes of the XSN-2J1, a single-engine piston trainer designed to replace the venerable SNJ Texan. To prepare pilots for high-speed fleet operations, the XSN-2J featured a powerful right radial engine and tactical cockpit layouts. Yet, flight tests exposed a fatal flaw. During carrier approach simulations, the heavy prototype exhibited poor low-speed handling and a tendency to stall sharply. For a training aircraft, safety and forgiveness had to come before modernization. The Navy rejected the design in favor of the Fairchild XNQ, ending the program after just those 2 airframes. Though a dead end, this failure taught North American what did not belong in a next-generation trainer: safeguarding the vital pipeline of naval aviation. On March 17, 1947, North American aviation moved beyond tactical prototypes with the first flight of the B-45 Tornado. Built for the United States Air Force, this quad-jet heavy bomber scaled up the company's engineering ambitions. North American constructed 143 of these aircraft, which entered service in 1948 as America's first operational jet bomber. With 4 turbojets housed in twin nacelles under the wings, the design bypassed the speed limitations of older propeller-driven platforms. The Tornado was built to translate high-speed jet propulsion and a heavy payload into strategic nuclear deterrence, providing the reach demanded by the early Cold War. Carrying up to 22,000 pounds of bombs, the B-45 served as the physical bridge from piston-engine fleets to the jet-powered strategic forces that would define the era. The aircraft remained in service until 1959. On October 1st, 1947, the XP-86 prototype took flight, introducing a design that would define early jet combat. This was the F-86 Sabre, a single-engine fighter that traded the traditional straight wing for a 35-degree sweep. Based on emerging aerodynamic research, this sweep delayed high-speed shockwaves, allowing the airframe to push close to the speed of sound without losing control. While earlier jets had been experimental or limited in number, North American Aviation built the Sabre on a vast scale. A total of 9,860 aircraft rolled off assembly lines, turning a design concept into a massive fielded reality. This immense production run established the Sabre as the benchmark machine of its era, the standard against which all other fighters were measured. The investment paid off in the skies over Korea. Entering service in 1949, the F-86 became the primary counterweight to the Soviet-built MiG-15. In the high-altitude dogfights of MiG Alley, the Sabre's superior handling and structural stability gave pilots a decisive edge at high subsonic speeds. It was here, in the first major jet-on-jet conflict, that the Sabre secured its place in aviation history. For North American aviation, the F-86 was no longer just another experimental project. It was the definitive proof that the company could set the pace for military aviation, turning a technological leap into a dominant, mass-produced shield that would protect Allied airspace for a generation. While the Sabre secured high-altitude skies, the Navy faced a different strategic mandate, projecting heavy nuclear strike power directly from aircraft carrier decks. This mission demanded immense payload capacity and long range, presenting a design challenge far removed from light fighters or basic trainers. On July 3, 1948, North American flew the A.J. Savage, a heavy composite-powered bomber built to deliver a 12,000-pound atomic weapon. To launch a 35,000-pound aircraft from carrier catapults, engineers combined two Pratt and Whitney piston engines for takeoff thrust, with a hidden Allison turbojet in the tail for combat speed. Entering fleet service in 1950, the Savage proved North American could master highly specialized naval aviation requirements. The company delivered 143 Savages, establishing a sea-based strategic deterrent that remained operational until 1960. On September 26, 1949, North American Aviation addressed the pilot pipeline directly. The company flew the T-28 Trojan, a single-piston engine trainer designed to transition students into high-performance jets. While frontline fighters captured headlines, military readiness required a repeatable training system. North American built 1,948 Trojans, establishing the backbone of post-war flight instruction. With its tricycle landing gear and advanced cockpit, the Trojan prepared thousands of cadets for the speed of modern combat, proving that aviation history is built in quiet training squadrons, long before any combat mission begins. In 1949, the threat of Soviet nuclear bombers forced North American to split the classic fighter design into specialized Cold War roles. The company developed the F-86D, building 2,847 of these radar-equipped all-weather interceptors. Designed for rapid high-altitude defense rather than tight dogfighting, it relied on folding fin rockets to destroy targets. To stretch this formula further, engineers built the YF-93 prototype. First flying in 1950, this heavy long-range escort variant featured flush fuselage air intakes and an afterburning engine. Only two were constructed, marking the outer limits of what North American's proven jet platform could achieve. On December 27, 1951, the swept-wing FJ-2 Fury took flight, proving that carrier aviation could match the aerodynamic standards of land-based fighters. The Navy ordered 200 production models alongside 3 prototypes of this single-engine jet, moving sea-based operations from experimental trials to reliable fleet service. By adapting the swept-wing geometry of the Sabre to carrier decks, North American aviation consolidated its diverse post-war portfolio. Between 1946 and 1951, the company delivered civilian planes, heavy bombers, advanced trainers, and radar-guided interceptors, ultimately unifying these separate design paths into a single high-performance naval standard. Today, the supersonic skies we take for granted still rely on breakthroughs forged in that chaotic post-war dawn. When survival demanded rapid evolution, innovation answered. That relentless drive remains the blueprint for modern aerospace. Join the conversation in the comments below